To understand what is happening in Iran today, you should not look at the American aircraft carriers amassing in the Persian Gulf or the activity on the Azerbaijani border. The place you should really look is a quiet house in Tehran, its windows tightly shut for 17 years, surrounded by intelligence agents. Because on the night of January 29, 2026, a single piece of paper that came out of that house dealt a blow to the 47-year history of the Iranian regime that was far greater than any of the missiles raining down on them. Mir Hossein Mousavi. You may have forgotten this name, or perhaps you've never heard it. But he was once the prime minister of this regime, one of the founding architects of the system. And after 17 years of deep silence, he picked up his pen and addressed the Khamenei regime, its army, and its people with a single sentence. The game is over. Lay down your weapons and leave. This is not a simple call for opposition. It is a father abandoning the home he built, rejecting his own legacy. We will examine in minute detail how the ghost of the Green Movement has returned, and why Khamenei fears this old man's letter more than American B-52s.
Hello and welcome back to Prime Focus News, your trusted source for clear, reliable and timely global updates. If you're new here, please take a moment to subscribe, like and share this video. These simple actions help our channel grow and make it possible for more people to stay informed. We encourage you to watch this video to the very end, because every minute you spend with us helps our platform reach more viewers. The best way you can support our work and help others see this update is by liking, sharing and leaving a comment on our videos. Your engagement truly makes a difference, and we sincerely thank you for being part of our growth and community. As we move forward, we would love to hear your thoughts on the situation surrounding this Iran crisis.
Now, let's shift our focus away from the military activity in and around Iran and concentrate on the heart of the matter: Tehran's political anatomy. Many of you are wondering, who is Mir Hossein Mousavi and why is he so important? Without understanding him, it is impossible to comprehend the fear Khamenei is experiencing today. Mousavi is not an activist funded from abroad, a liberal educated in the West, or an exiled monarchist. He was the golden child of the Iranian Islamic Revolution. In the 1980s, during the Iran-Iraq War, he served as the country's prime minister, managing the economy during those difficult years, a statesman privy to the system's most intimate secrets. In other words, he is not the other of the regime, but the regime itself. It is precisely this quality of insider that makes him so dangerous to Khamenei. We need to turn back the pages of history to 2009, because the seeds of what is happening in the streets today were sown that year. When Mousavi ran for president at that time, he had massive popular support behind him. However, on election night, the votes were suspiciously shifted to Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, giving birth to the Green Movement, the largest act of civil disobedience in Iranian history. Millions of people filled the streets of Tehran with green flags and asked one question: where is my vote? The regime saw this movement as an attempt at a velvet revolution and brutally suppressed it, attempting to turn Mousavi into a living corpse by placing him under house arrest. When Khamenei imprisoned him, he thought the idea would die. But he was wrong. The Green Movement was not just an election protest. It was the moment the Islamic Republic was confronted with its own promises and failed the test. Fast forward to today, 2026, and Mousavi's statement 17 years later reignited the embers beneath the ashes. So, what does Mousavi say? The regime has completely lost its legitimacy. Those who take up arms against the people will go down in history as traitors. These statements go far beyond political criticism. They carry the weight of religious and moral excommunication. The Velayat-e-Faqih system, established by Khamenei, sees itself as God's shadow on earth and the absolute authority. However, When a figure who emerged from within the system and served as prime minister during the revolution says, "You are no longer legitimate," it pierces Khamenei's spiritual armor. With this statement, Mousavi demolishes the regime's claim to sanctity. There is a very critical sociological layer here. Iranian society is not homogeneous at present. On one side is the Generation Z, which embraces a secular Western lifestyle and seeks a solution entirely outside the regime. On the other side is the silent majority, which is religious and conservative, but fed up with the regime's corruption, oppression, and economic collapse. Mousavi's target audience is precisely this second group. He is the only person who can neutralize the regime's propaganda that foreign powers are trying to destroy us. Because he is also religious, he also has revolutionary roots. Mousavi's existence takes the "we are protecting our religion" card out of Khamenei's hands and throws it in the trash. Khamenei's greatest nightmare is not American troops entering Tehran. It is his own base, his own officials, his own police beginning to believe Mousavi's words. Because those words are not the threat of an external enemy, but the cry of an internal conscience. And that comes to mind at this point is, if there is a change in Iran, who will take the wheel? Reza Pahlavi, the son of the Shah in exile, or Mir Hussein Mousavi, the Green Prince under house arrest? These two figures represent two different poles of the Iranian opposition, and this rivalry is one of the most important dynamics that will determine the future of the regime. Reza Pahlavi is a source of hope, especially for the diaspora abroad and the completely secular segments within the country who are nostalgic for the monarchy. This group, whose slogan is Kavid Shah, wants the Islamic Republic to be completely eradicated and replaced by a Western, secular order. However, there are very serious factors weakening Pahlavi's hand. First, he is an exile who has lived away from his country for 40 years. He is someone who has not breathed the dust of Iran's streets, who has watched the suffering of today's youth from afar. Second, and more importantly, for Iran's conservative middle class, the devout merchants in the provinces, and the bureaucracy, the concept of monarchy evokes memories of another era of oppression in the past. The fear of, will we escape one dictator only to return to another, or to the old system, limits Pahlavi's base. It is precisely in this vacuum that Mousavi steps in. He is the symbol of a soft transition. Mousavi's proposed constitutional referendum and national consensus front are the only rational way out for millions who fear bloodshed and are wary of civil war. Instead of completely destroying and burning down the system, Mousavi promises to democratize it, to fill the concept of republic with meaning. This is an acceptable scenario, especially for the pragmatic wings of the army and even the Revolutionary Guards. Imagine you are a general and you see the regime collapsing. If Pahlavi comes to power, you risk being tried, exiled, or executed. But if Mousavi comes to power, you have a chance to remain within the system and reach a compromise in the name of continuity of the state. That is why Mousavi is the only name that could create a crack within the regime's security apparatus. His call to lay down arms is much more effective than Pahlavi's call because he offers the military an honorable way to retreat. So, can Mousavi overthrow Khamenei? Physically, it is impossible for an 83-year-old man under house arrest to storm the palace and seize power. But politics is done with symbols. Mousavi has now become an Iranian Mandela. In an equation where Khamenei is weakening, sick, and losing legitimacy every day, Mousavi represents moral authority. As power centers within the regime prepare for the post-Khamenei era, they may be more receptive to Mousavi's model of controlled change than to Pahlavi's radical change. As for popular support, yes, the youth on the streets may be shouting "Shah" because that is the most radical rejection. But at the end of the day, when the ballot box is set up or a transitional council is formed, Musevi is the common denominator that can unite 80% of society. He is that wise grandfather figure whom both the religious and the secular can say, at least he will get us out of this chaos safely. Furthermore, Musevi's ethnic identity also plays a key role here. He is an Azerbaijani Turk. The movement of the Turks, Iran's largest and most organized ethnic group, centered in Tabriz, is the regime's worst nightmare. While Pahlavi's Persian nationalist tone irritates the Turks, Musevi's fellow citizen identity and more inclusive language could bring Tabriz into the equation. When the unrest in South Azerbaijan is combined with the Musevi factor, the regime's northern front could completely collapse. Now, let's look at the external factors fueling this internal political fire and forcing the regime into mistakes, namely the overall military situation. Why has Musevi's letter been so effective today? Because the Khamenei regime is facing an unprecedented level of intense and multi-pronged strangulation. The internal legitimacy crisis, combined with the external military encirclement, is creating unmanageable chaos. The presence of the US and its allies on the ground has now gone far beyond a mere show of force. The military buildup around the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz has cut off Iran's lifeline. The USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group and the 8 destroyers accompanying it, including the USS Frank E. Peterson Jr., USS Spruance, and USS McFall, with a total of more than 800 VLS missile cells, have completely locked down Iran's southern border. This naval force is squeezing Iran's oil exports like a vice, capable of stopping the lifeblood of the regime. However, the real strategic threat lies in the qualitative increase in air power. The US's decision to relocate its B-52 Stratofortress bombers to the Diego Garcia base in the Indian Ocean is a development that is keeping the generals in Tehran awake at night. Why? Because these aircraft are equipped with JASSM-ER stealth cruise missiles that can be launched from hundreds of kilometers away without entering Iranian airspace. This means that the US can strike command centers, nuclear facilities, or Revolutionary Guard headquarters in Tehran without risking a single pilot. In addition, F-35As and EA-18G Growler electronic warfare aircraft, deployed to the region from Europe, are lying in wait to blind Iran's newly acquired Russian S-400 systems. The move that really panicked the regime and made Musevi's "game over" statement even more meaningful came from the north. The US Air Force MC-130J Commando II aircraft that landed in Azerbaijan completely changed the equation. This aircraft is not designed to transport cargo. It is designed to infiltrate enemy lines, drop special forces, and support regime change operations. The presence of this aircraft less than 300 kilometers from the Iranian border sends this message to Khamenei. We are coming not only from the south, but also from the north. There's nowhere to run. It is this feeling of being surrounded that is undermining the psychology of the regime's elite. The departure of that mysterious aircraft, codenamed Iran 07, for Moscow is the most concrete evidence of the disintegration within, like rats abandoning a sinking ship. As regime officials look for tickets to Moscow, Musevi's go is becoming much more realistic in the eyes of the people. Of course, Iran is not sitting idly by. It is playing the China and Russia card. China sending its Type 055 destroyers to Hormuz and monitoring the region with its massive spy ship, Liao Wang 1, is a balancing factor against the US. But will this be enough to save the regime? China's presence seems aimed more at securing a place at the post-war table and ensuring energy security than at entering into active warfare. Beijing will not risk a nuclear conflict with Washington for a sinking regime. They also know that the real problem in Tehran is political, not military. The wound inflicted by Musavi is too deep for Chinese destroyers to heal. To interpret what is happening in Iran simply as winds of war are blowing would be to miss the bigger picture. We are not witnessing the beginning of a war, but the end of an era. The Khamenei regime consolidated its power internally for 47 years by using the threat of external enemies. It silenced the opposition by saying, "America is coming," and rallied the people around it by saying, "Israel will attack." But today, that spell is broken. Because this time, the threat is not only coming from American aircraft carriers, the threat is coming from the regime's own history, its own conscience, and the pen of Mir Hossein Mousavi. Mousavi's statement, "The game is over," is an irreversible truth echoing in Iran's streets, barracks, and homes. The moment a regime's police, military, and civil servants begin to believe in a house-arrested old man rather than their leader, that regime has effectively collapsed. It is only a matter of time before the sign comes down. American B-52s may destroy buildings and blow up bridges, but you cannot bomb an ideology, a belief. Only someone from within, someone who speaks the language of that ideology, can destroy it. Mousavi has stripped the regime bare by dismantling Khamenei's theocracy with religious arguments. The coming days will be painful for Iran. Perhaps the streets will become even more chaotic. Perhaps there will be internal conflict from Ahvaz to Tabriz. But one thing is certain right now: the old Iran is gone. Khamenei's absolute authority melted away between the roar of the engines of planes fleeing to Moscow and Mousavi's silent manifesto. The region is about to wake up to a new Iran, perhaps more democratic, perhaps more chaotic, but definitely a future without Khamenei. And the architect of this change will be the Green Prince under house arrest in Tehran, rather than the generals at the Pentagon.
So my viewers, as we end this update, we would love to hear from you. What diplomatic steps do you think could help reduce tensions? Should global powers increase negotiations or apply stronger sanctions? What role should regional countries play in preventing further escalation? And do you believe peaceful dialogue is still possible? And what would it take to achieve it? Share your opinions in the comment section below. Thank you for watching Prime Focus News. See you in our next update.